The mountain gorilla is considered endangered species, with only about 720 mountain gorillas left in the world. And these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinga Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The gorilla is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms,
Whose property is it?
Newly appointed Minister Shamba in trouble over rental dues from Amber House.
It is Monday night, the 20th of August 2012. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. We are broadcasting live from our studios here in Kampala.
Tonight, details are emerging of an accident involving a funeral service ambulance carrying the bodies of 3 servicemen who lost their lives a week ago in the helicopter tragedy in Kenya.
Well, the accident comes ahead of tomorrow's burial of all 7 army personnel who also lost their lives.
I will have the latest images tonight from the scene as well as all the details for tomorrow's funeral arrangements.
Plus, as Somalia's first formal government is sworn in the parliament is in 20 years is sworn in the capital Mogadishu. An end to an 8-year transitional period is brought to a close. So it's on this issue that we will be asking you in tonight's NTV poll.
All right, let's first take you to tonight's main headlines.
Why the executive director of KCCA earns 8 times more than the Chief Justice of Uganda?
The question of pay, government to set up a salaries review commission for civil servants.
Uganda starts screening at the Uganda-Congo border over Ebola outbreak.
Also tonight, new Somali parliament sworn in as the mandate of the Western-backed transitional government ends. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinotwe.
And I'm Gabriel Peno. Thank you for joining us. The newly appointed state minister in charge of East African affairs, Shamba could be in trouble tonight over rental dues from Amber House.
The Parliamentary Committee on the Natural Resources overseeing the energy sector is querying the disappearance of billions of shillings accruing from rental collections since 1954.
Well, Bagane and company owned by Shamba, a businessman, has been in charge of managing the property until government terminated his contract.
State Minister for Finance in charge of privatization, Aston Kajaya, was this morning tasked to explain the whereabouts of the funds.
Here's Jingo Francis with our top story.
Before Uganda gained independence in 1954, the colonial government built Amber House to accommodate government departments, among which was the current Minister of Energy. A company called Amber House Limited was incorporated thereafter to manage the property on behalf of government. But another private company, Bagane and Company Limited, owned by Shamba, a businessman, took over management and the collection of rent. But the lawmakers on the Natural Resources Committee overseeing the energy sector, claiming ownership of the building, are querying how the newly appointed Minister Shamba has been remitting rental dues from the building.
This has nothing to do with his current appointment. But if the wrong hand finds that he has got a hand within mismanagement of the funds of Amber House, then he will be brought on board.
What again will be able to prove to the committee of appointments is that he was managing that property properly, and by the time he left, he did not leave any bad record behind.
Beginner's contract was terminated 3 years ago following a complaint from Parliament that billions were disappearing to unknown accounts.
His contract as estate agent was terminated.
Now this rent has been going to some other person, and we are insisting that we need facts. We have been asking for the last 10 years.
Why has there now been a situation where you have not been able to hand it over, even when you know it is a source of trouble?
Kajara informed the Parliament how government has made arrangements to hand over the building to be managed by the Minister of Energy.
Cabinet is going to consider all those issues. If there is extra space, it will be let out. In the onset, when this company was taken over by government from UEB and from Lint Marketing Board, it was decided that money collected should be used for redevelopment. Now, you are asking me about Shamba. Shamba had been retained as an estate agent, and he collected money, and this money, part of it was used for repairs, part of it is in the banks. As we speak today, Amber House Limited has on account 5 billion shillings.
Despite this move, documents availed to the committee indicate that the land title for the Amber House is encumbered by the defunct Lint Marketing Board and the Uganda Electricity Board, who are claiming shareholding into the building. This would mean that the unpaid former workers of the defunct companies could sue government and attach the property. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Finance Minister Maria Chiwanuka says government will set up a salary review commission to look into disparities into remuneration of civil servants. She made the revelation while appearing before the Parliamentary Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs as MPs quizzed her on why those in government institutions such as Uganda Revenue Authority and Kampala Capital City Authority earn more than those in many ministries. As Maurice Sochol reports from Parliament, the Finance Minister was also tasked over why there were shortfalls in the budget of some ministries.
For long, some ministers such as the Judiciary and Education have been grappling with low salaries. Separately over the years, other institutions of government such as Uganda Revenue Authority and now Kampala Capital City Authority have increased their pay, outstripping those of other civil servants. Against this backdrop, MPs on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee pressed the Minister of Finance, Maria Chiwanuka, to explain why.
You are the two institutions that are involved, public service and finance. Why the executive director of KCCA earns 80 times more than the Chief Justice of Uganda? What is the justification? Can the country know why?
The salary is going to skyrocket simply because you've added the word authority.
The lawmakers cited the example of Ministry of Justice, where the Chief Justice earns a paltry sum compared to the heads of KCCA and URA.
So where do we find the money for creating or expanding areas, and we don't find it for judges? As far as we are concerned, if it is if Parliament is your weapon, we are here.
So I think it would be a good idea for their cabinet representatives to also be made aware of these problems, and we can start discussing them from there.
But the minister's explanation failed to satisfy many legislators. Chiwanuka says a salary review commission is going to be set up to look into this disparity. Maurice Sochol, NTV.
Now, according to a World Health Organization report from the Ministry of Health in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 6 people have died of Ebola in the country. The report comes at a time when Uganda, in a space of a month, has lost 16 people due to the deadly Ebola hemorrhagic fever. Now, samples sent to Uganda from Congo indicate that the Ebola strain is the Budibujo type, which killed 37 people in Uganda back in 2007. Uganda's Ministry of Health affirms that it is more than ready to deal with this strain if it were to enter into the country. At all border points, experts have been put in place to screen anyone entering from DRC into the country. Florence Nalimba reports.
There have been 5 deaths due to Ebola in Zero and 1 in Dungu Health Zones of Oriental in northeastern DRC, and there are 10 other suspected cases from both areas. Speculations from the Uganda Virus Research Institute UVRI are that the affected could have eaten monkey meat.
The very first samples which were sent, they were tested, and when they were tested, they found that it was Ebola strain.
Of the 3 samples tested at the UVRI, 2 tested Ebola Bundibujo positive. The Ebola outbreak is comprised of 5 species. Bundibujo, first discovered in Uganda in Bundibujo. In 2007, it killed 37 people. Ebola Sudan, discovered with Ebola Zaire as early as 1976, claimed over 200 lives. The Ivory Coast strain manifested first in Tai National Park in Cote d'Ivoire in 1994 in chimpanzees. And Reston was first discovered in Virginia, USA, confined and lethal to primates. It is capable of being spread through the air unlike others, and it is endemic in the Philippines, though no deaths amongst humans have been reported. The strain that Uganda has been grappling with since July is Ebola Sudan, and the one in DRC is Bundibujo.
They have a high case fatality rate, up to 50, 70, sometimes 80%. That means out of 100, 80 people, 70 can die.
Uganda, which has just contained the Ebola spread in Chivali district where Ebola Sudan killed 16 people, may now have cause to worry since DRC is not far away from the country.
We have put our districts on the border with the Congo on high alert. And these districts are Maracha, Zombo, Koboko, Arua, Nebi, Yumbe. And high alert means that the national task forces have to be reactivated. Every district has a national task force on epidemic.
Now, due to past experiences with the Ebola disease in the country, especially the one that claimed over 200 lives in Gulu in 2000, the Minister of Health feels like they are ready to take on any threat.
You see, those initial epidemics were killing very many people. And now, of course, we don't see many people dying. It's because as a country we have been prepared, health workers are alert, even people are alert.
It seems like case management is now based on previous experience with the disease, since no vaccine has yet been discovered to fight the highly contagious and deadly Ebola virus. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
Somalia's first formal parliament in 20 years has been sworn in, but the election of the country's president has been delayed. This as the mandate of the United Nations-backed transitional government ends. The selection of the new 275-member parliament also lagged behind schedule amid allegations of intimidation and corruption. Craig Kadode reports.
Some 225 people have been named to the 275-member parliament, and those members are to be sworn in on Monday when the full body is seated, and it is when the elections will be held. The parliament will eventually have 275 members, but the committee tasked with approving MPs has said 225 are enough to hold crucial votes for Speaker and President by secret ballot. Somalia has been without a fully functioning government since 1991, and the United Nations hopes the current political changes will help seat a government that can provide services to the people. About 24 candidates are running to become Somalia's first post-transition president, who, once elected sometime in the near future, will then choose a prime minister.
70 of them. We mounted a strong campaign in Somalia, technical selection committee, traditional elder. We strengthened the capacity of the transitional elders to scrutinize and say no. The TFG force and the AMISOM have provided security to them, so no intimidation can take place. So they said, no, rather I put forward educated, qualified person to represent my clan, and that has been achieved.
Many of the candidates for president, including current president Sharif Ahmed, Prime Minister Abduali Mohamed Ali, and the Parliament Speaker Sharif Hassan Sheikh Aden, already serve in a government that has been tainted by corruption allegations. Security has been tightened across the capital ahead of the vote, with police and military troops patrolling the streets.
G-Force and the AMISOM have provided security to them, so no intimidation can take place. So they said, no, Rather, I put forward educated, qualified person to represent my clan, and that has been achieved.
The UN and other international partners helping the political process said on Sunday that Somalia faces an unprecedented opportunity for greater peace and stability. The mandate for Somalia's United Nations mandate ended today, the day by which international backers had hoped a new presidential election would be held. Craig Kadoda, NTV.
Well, we derive tonight's poll question from these developments in Somalia, and we are asking, can the country be stable after the end of the mandate of the transitional federal government? I'll say that again, can Somalia be stable after the end of the mandate of the transitional federal government?
To have your say, text your response to 8778 followed by a yes or no, as well as your name and where you're texting from. We shall be reading some of your comments during and at the very end of tonight's newscast and bring you the final poll result.
Okay. Watching NTV tonight, here's what you can expect when we return from this break. Funeral cortege carrying bodies of helicopter crash victims is involved in an accident in Mukono.
And police launches a manhunt for Serena Hotel guests over a 17 million shilling bill. NTV Tonight continues after this break. Do stay with us.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
Kwene embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakugwamu mama
bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale
sogera byange kibanda bana bagamba nga nebagamba ne bwagala nkubulira ebyange ja tugende emyanzi
mpulira abanyumya babeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinansi South Africa baba bakujerega obituufu
baba banjerega
oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga miggo omuntu wa bulijjo tomuzannyirangako abeeranga dormant volcano
bwemba mukkiriza nina takuwa mugiyita
ate takuwa gobeera mugoberezi tolowooza nti buli mulimo oyogerera omusiraamu singa naakubuuza nti katonda yagamba atya
oba oli pasita ng'okyawa olimba obba oyenda olina abakazi basatu please heaven is waiting for you. One day you'll pay and soon your time is out.
Otisa moni.
Sitisa. Mkubuulira Yesu talimba.
Ebintu mbimala mulundi gumu. Kati what is I love peace.
Gwokola byo.
Wegase n'omusajja mutwale mabi.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna.
No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba ennyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistors, Yakazol.
I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it?
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna.
No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. okuzimba ennyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Tonight. We start with a reminder of our NTV poll and some of your responses. We asked, can Somalia be stable after the end of the mandate of the transitional federal government? I'll say that again. Can Somalia be stable after the end of the mandate of the TFG?
If you'd like to participate, send your response to 8778, starting with a yes or no, followed by your name and where you're texting from. Let's now quickly sample a few of your responses.
Okay, Songa Samuel Mwesigwa, you say no, they have failed to beat today's deadline to choose a new president, but you also end on an optimistic note. You say lasting peace might take forever, but what is taking place inside Somalia is a sign of hope.
And Akuguziwe Livingston saying yes, because Somalia will have to stabilize and have the constitution that governs it, so peace will be attained.
Okay, thus stands our tentative poll result. 30% of our respondents so far, you say yes, 70% of you say no.
Do stay tuned, we will be reading some more of your responses and bring you tonight's final poll result at the very end of tonight's newscast.
Okay. Now, a funeral service van carrying the bodies of 3 servicemen who lost their lives a week ago in the helicopter tragedy in Kenya has been involved in an accident near Mukono town this evening.
One of the ambulances that was moving in a convoy together with relatives suddenly stopped abruptly to avoid a head-on collision and was knocked by another omnibus that was carrying soldiers and relatives of the deceased.
The omnibus driver has received slight injuries to the leg.
And the Mukono traffic officer, Annette Nachibuka, says the accident was caused by the speeding funeral van.
Later, the body of Sergeant Charles Lukwago was transferred from the van into another car before proceeding to Buikwe, where the burial will take place tomorrow.
These are the latest images reaching us this evening from the scene.
Nti waliwo pick-up ebadde eyambuka nga bagiwaddewe eyambuka edda ku luguudo oludda waggulu. Ambulance ebadde eyitawo ebadde erina ne roof right ng'esaba way, it has the right of way. Kati bw'ebadde eyitawo wabaddewo trailer ebadde eva mu maaso, ono abadde tasobola giyingiramu bwenyi ku bwenyi, mu kugyewala asazeewo okusiba, kati ate munne abadde amuvaako emabega okumukoona emabega.
Very unfortunate incident there. Kampala land board has vowed to expose those behind illegal land takeovers in a report soon to be tabled before Parliament's local government committee. The board's chairman Yusuf Nsibambi today said that the report will include particular organizations and individuals he claims are involved in a string of land grabbing exploits in the city and its outskirts rather. This was during a consultative meeting with landowners from Kampala and other countrywide areas.
What is now commonly referred to as land grabbers.
The embattled City Land Board chief is at it again, this time vowing to name and shame in a report those he says are behind the now all too common land grabbing episodes both within the city and its environs. Yusuf Nsibambi went ahead to allege that some government departments are aiding illegal land deals not only in Kampala but elsewhere around the country.
Specifically to come up with a strong front to fight land grabbing and unfair sale and disposal of public properties, and also to ensure that we push the Minister of Lands to do what they're supposed to do and serve the population.
Nsibambi says they're taking their campaign to Parliament, where a report on shady land transactions being drafted at the moment will be presented.
We have to call upon all the other stakeholders so that we put up a loose alliance to fight the issue of land grabbing and unfair and unscrupulous disposal of public assets.
Stakeholders who attended a consultative meeting on land issues today at Hotel Africana also decried the increasing cases of land rows cropping up across the country and called for a halt to the vice.
There's no way I will sit behind and see land grabbers just come and intimidate the peasants, because the government came to fight for the peasants. If today they come and kick out the peasants without being helped by us who are in government, then it's very absurd.
I stay in Chinya, just behind the Boyogere. The biggest part of that area has now been grabbed by veterans. So if government can't stop land grabbing in the middle of town, time will come when they are grabbing even private land.
The chief speaker at the meeting, city lawyer Peter Walubiri, says Parliament ought to come out boldly on the issue.
We cannot expect people to come from outside Uganda to solve these problems for us. This is a very important meeting at which dialogue begins, so that the people of this country can analyze what has gone wrong.
Although government introduced new land laws to supposedly protect the population, several Ugandans continue to be evicted more often than not under unclear circumstances.
Now, the Forum for Democratic Change Party leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, has called for the resignation of the Inspector General of Police over the recent arrest of the Kasese District Electoral Commission returning officer. The returning officer, Vel Kanzera, was arrested during the Kasese District Women Parliamentary by-election for allegedly engaging in electoral fraud, but later on released. Dr. Besigye was speaking during a news conference at the FDC party headquarters in Kampala. Chris Ochamringa reports.
The tough-talking FDC leader strongly criticized the police force for what he described as the gross violation of the electoral process through the arrest of the Electoral Commission's returning officer in the Kasese Parliamentary Women's by-election.
So this is a very, very serious matter. It's a matter that requires even the removal of the Inspector General of Police from office. And I hope that as soon as Parliament convenes, it will be discussed as a matter of national importance.
The arrest of the returning officer, Val Kanzera, happened on the 11th of this month, sparking an outcry from the Electoral Commission about the police's interference in their work. But the deputy police spokesman has refuted the accusations made against the force in a phone interview with NTV.
The law states that whoever is suspected to be involved in any criminal tendency should be investigated and brought to book. So what was done in Kasese is a process, a legal process that's acceptable within the laws of this country.
Journalists questioned Dr. Besigye about his preferred candidate for the FDC party presidency, but he declined to back any of the three nominated candidates.
I have already amply said that I am not going to be endorsing any of them.
The FDC leader, who was at the forefront of last year's walk-to-work protests in Kampala, came along with one of the survivors of a gunshot wound to call for the public's assistance in covering her medical costs.
The costs of treatment in India, we only need $17,400.
Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
The Minister for Information and National Guidance has met with FM radio station owners in Kampala to discuss the depreciating levels of professionalism in the media. Honorable Mary Karoro Okurut addressed issues concerning allegations of unethical information control and malicious and deliberate attacks by individuals to tarnish and defame the image of others. Meanwhile, FM radio station owners and managers also expressed concern with regard to government's hand in affecting their day-to-day operations and the monopoly of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation's control on broadcasting masts.
With over 240 licensed operational FM radio stations across the country, the issue of regulation of content and maintaining high level of professionalism remains of utmost concern. So today, as allegations circulate surrounding the standard of some content run by FM radio stations, Minister of Information and National Guidance Honorable Mary Karoro Okurut called for a dialogue with FM radio station owners and managers. Top of discussion today was which direction FM radio stations were taking professionally.
We are not preaching to the FM stations, but we are saying
they must adhere to the set down rules and regulations and give our people wholesome information.
The Media Council attributed the decline of professionalism to lack of accuracy, poor pay, conflict of interest, and journalists' misconduct. However, when the tables were turned, media managers were given an opportunity to have their say. Some station owners expressed bitter concern as to how UBC has become a monopoly in broadcasting and said they were being charged exorbitant fees to hire masts.
We are proposing very strongly that a government body, which is not UBC, runs those masts.
They also accused UBC of being key in shutting down 3 FM radio stations, including 2 international stations, BBC Radio and Radio France.
No, I feel so scared that I'm part of this meeting. No, don't. Where the government has allowed another center, given it powers and resources to close down radio stations.
The private broadcasters maintained that the government should institute an independent body to control the masts and another body to be key in the digital migration era. They say UBC as a fellow competitor should not be handed such control. Sohail Mugabe, NTV Tonight.
Let's now take a look at more stories making the news across Uganda.
Police have arrested a man accused of impersonating the Prime Minister of Uganda, Amama Mbabazi. 26-year-old John Chimera attempted to open a joint account in Crane Bank in the names of the Prime Minister. However, his plan was frustrated when bank officials became suspicious and alerted the authorities.
Tried to open an account in the names of John Patrick Amama Mbabazi, and they had documents suggesting that he had been authorized to open such an account. We have since proved that they were forged.
It is alleged that Chimera is committing this crime a second time after he was convicted for the same last year. He is currently held under police custody as investigations continue.
Meanwhile, a man in Mityana district has been rushed to hospital after he cut his stomach with a machete. According to residents, Paul Njego is being tormented by evil spirits after he failed to meet the demands of a witch doctor whom he consulted for wealth.
NTV Business is up next with Malcolm Musime. Do be sure to stay tuned for that. You're watching NTV Tonight.
This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele lom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala the bus. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumanga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ngala kunyonyola omukulu mbadde ngala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonda takyekyusa.
Welcome back to minibus kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeyisa
alimba ono
This is minibus
Kyogereko.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
For me every day.
Irifemasi nisu badi magero.
Thanks ever so much for watching NTV. You're most welcome to NTV Business Tonight. My name is Malcolm Sime, and first, the National Council of Science and Technology is now rolling out the formation of the cottage industry network with a bias towards clustering activities in different parts of the country. Now, in this arrangement, Busitema University, located in the cotton-growing eastern region, is now set to host a textile and engineering laboratory facility through the council's funding worth 800 million. NTV's Reina Ojan was there.
Building skills that are capable of promoting the sustenance of cottage industries remains part of the broader challenge that Uganda's academic institutions need to address. This emphasis comes on the heels of an 800 million facility for Busitema University through the National Council of Science and Technology that's aimed at formation of a textile engineering degree program, as well as supporting the establishment of cottage industries.
It is really sad that when you move to some of our markets today, you find there's a lot of market for used clothes from Europe and other places. We want this trend to be changed such that people can put on textile materials which are new, which are produced here in this country. We want the textile materials like cotton the cotton industry to be vibrant in this country.
Alexandru Zimmerman, the installation engineer, says the machines are of high quality and will give students basic skills in textile manufacturing, and that they will be able to produce clothes using modern technology as a result.
The students will be able to produce good quality yarns, even if the technology will change. They will still be able to understand the steps to follow. So they will be able to use the modern technology after these 5 years and still produce a good quality yarn.
Among others, the introduction of this course with machines installed, revival of textile industries that collapsed in Uganda, like the Africa Textile Mill ATM in Bali, are expected.
Now, the fact that insurance penetration in Uganda is below 1% is not really a case of lack of opportunities, but the lack of interest of insurance players and businesses to act. With home cross-border trade fairly high, NTV's Samuel Situmo reports that this really underscores the work local insurers have to embark on to tap into this potential and stop a trend where businesses in the line of trade predominantly use foreign insurers.
Uganda imported more than twice the size of its exports at $2.5 billion in the first 5 months of 2012 compared to the export of $978 million. That there is more importation means opportunity for insurance companies, but many importers give their monies to foreign firms, yet the local companies insist they provide the services.
Unless the businessman insures his goods, he stands a risk of losing them in the case of an accident during the transportation of these goods from the supplier up to down here to Kampala.
Apparently, this truth is not sufficient to make local importers and businessmen insure their risk here. Quite a lot of innovation by the insurance companies is required, therefore.
That anything befalling those goods, insurers like statewide is there to assist so that the businessman does not entirely 100% lose his goods.
The number of less than 1% of insurance penetration for now remains a seemingly insurmountable task to overcome for the industry, even while the economy expands and grows. Samuel Setumba, NTV Business.
Thank you, Sam. In the financial markets, the Stanbic counter dominated trading in a session that saw the all share index gain by 6 points to 1,101 shillings. We have details in the following report.
Financial Report is brought to you by URA, developing Uganda together. All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
Now, finally, on NTV Business Night, desperate for cash, struggling Japanese electronics manufacturer Sharp Corporation is considering a host of measures to raise funds, including selling off overseas factories and scrutinizing future payments from customers. People familiar with the company's discussions with creditors reveal that the Osaka-based Sharp is working to outline a plan to strengthen its finances before the end of September, when the company will have to redeem the bulk of its $4.62 billion in commercial paper.
The consumer electronic giant, bracing for a huge loss this fiscal year, is planning to pull out of copier and air conditioners to concentrate on its more competitive liquid crystal display division. The company suffered a bloodletting earlier this month, with its shares diving to 40 years low in Tokyo after reporting enormous quarterly losses and warned of more yet to come. Sharp aims to replace the commercial paper with short-term borrowings from banks, including its main lenders Mitsubishi and Mizuho financial groups. Each bank has committed about 150 billion Japanese yen in loans to Sharp, including a bridge loan this month to ease the company's cash crunch. With the company in a dire need for cash in the short term, at the time when its business is making big losses, a broader range of assets would have to come under review for a possible sale. Sharp, which was reporting record profits just 4 years earlier, has already announced plans to slash 5,000 jobs, or about 9% of its global payroll, to cut overhead costs. It's also working to reduce inventory, weighing on the bottom line.
That winds up NTV Business for tonight. Malcolm Sim, and coming up, your sports just after the break with Joel Kamadi.
Only fill the kettle with enough for 1 cup and store excess in flasks.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
For me every day.
Irifemasi nisu badi magero.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Now, the FIBA Africa Zone 5 Club Championship tipped off this afternoon at Lugogo Indoor Stadium with 3 opening day fixtures, each involving a Ugandan team. Our local women's side KCCA Leopards played Bako Stars from Burundi, winning by 13 points in a 63-50 victory, with Flavia Kecho scoring 12 points for the hosts, while Irandukunda Geraldine was the top scorer for Bako Stars with 17 points. Shamba and Espoir from Rwanda are currently playing the first men's match, which will be followed by the game between 2010 regional champions and Kenyan side Eagle Wings, who will play local champions UCU Lady Cannons in the final game of the day at 9 p.m. We shall give you highlights of those games tomorrow. Now, former SC Villa and Uganda Cranes left fullback Nestor Kizito, who signed a one-year deal at newly promoted Super League club Victoria University last week, trained today with the rest of the team at the Nambole Stadium ahead of the 2012 season that kicks off next month. The university side announced the signing of the 30-year-old former Partizan Belgrade ace last week and trained with the rest of the team, which include new signings Manko Karesa from ERA, Georgia Bege and Martin Puga, both from Maroons, free agent Saddam Juma and Ali Kimera from Victors. Former pro-line midfielder Charles Tibigana, who signed a 2-year contract with the side, was also part of the side that is yet to make its debut in the league. The Rwanda under-20 represented his country at the under-17 FIFA World Cup, under-20 championships and Sekafa last year and scored 3 goals last season. The debutants will have a strong starting lineup when the league commences as they look to continue the spending spree on other big names before the transfer deadline. Now, the eyes of football world will be on Robin van Persie when he takes to the turf at Goodison Park. The left-footed Netherlands striker and former Arsenal captain's move from North London to Old Trafford surprised many, with many thinking United have paid a substantial transfer fee for the 29-year-old, even if he was the Premier League's top goal scorer last season. Manchester United begin their quest to regain the Premier League title with a game against the opponents who cost them last season. Sir Alex Ferguson's side looked to have the league in the bag when 2 goals up at home to Everton in April before goals from Jelavic and Pina gave Manchester City renewed hope. Plenty are backing Rooney and Van Persie to shine under Sir Alex Ferguson's stewardship, but Everton are expected to unveil their own potentially exciting striking partnership. Barca's new head coach Tito Villanova saw them dominate the first half and take a 4-1 lead by the break. Carlos Puyol headed them in front with a second-minute corner before Chori Castro leveled for the visitors. But Lionel Messi was at his superb best to take the game away from Sociedad. He scored a double in 4 minutes with fine individual efforts before Pedro Rodriguez added a fourth on the stroke of halftime. David Villa added the gloss to the performance as he made his return in the second half after a lengthy injury layoff. He converted a pass from Andres Iniesta in the 75th minute. Real Madrid made a stumbling start to the La Liga title defense as they were held 1-1 by Valencia on Sunday in the San Diego Bernabeu. Gonzalo Higuain put Jose Mourinho's men ahead after 9 minutes, but Brazilian midfielder Jonas Goncalves equalized just before the interval with a neat header. Cristiano Ronaldo had an early chance for Real, but was otherwise quiet on a disappointing night for Madrid. And that match between Manchester United and Everton starts at 10 p.m. just a few minutes from now, and it's not to be missed. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. I'm Joel Kamadi. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching NTV. We'll go straight to tonight's poll question. A reminder of tonight's poll question. We asked, can Somalia be stable after the end of the mandate of the transitional federal government? The final poll result for tonight is out. 66% of our respondents are saying yes. 34% of you say no.
All right, we do appreciate your responses to tonight's poll question. We'll quickly read out a few of them even right now. We have Kansime Greens in Nyabushozi saying yes. If Uganda got stable, why not Somalia? What some people from Somalia need to do is to ensure transparent rule of law, and they'd like, he suggests they borrow a leaf from Mzee Museveni.
And in Ngelese Arafat, you say no, this war is best upon ethnic and religious lines, which are very hard to remove from people's mentality.
And Tony Opio in Gulu saying yes, Somalia will be stable if the first elected president maintains maximum security by getting rid of the terrorist group.
Finally, Kenny Ken, you say no, the problem in Somalia is not only the presence of the federal government, but a mix of issues like religious and tribal lines that are exacerbated by the presence of several clans.
Once again, thank you for all your responses. That's all we had time for in NTV Tonight. Gabriel will return later with NTV Late Night Edition for a final roundup of the day's main developments.
But for now, it's thank you for watching NTV Tonight. I am Gabriel Apeno.
I am Rachel Nitwe. Have a good night.
NTV. This is NTV.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
For me every day.
Irifemasi nisu tadi magero.